Thank you. So I'm Vickie Bates and I'm Director of Studies for the Online Master of Public Health programme at the University of Liverpool. So I'm going to be discussing how we try to improve student outcomes for the dissertation module in our online programme. Just to give a quick sort of context as to the programme we're talking about. So we developed a dissertation preparation pathway to aid students in their final research project. And the programme is our online MPH programme. It's fully online, asynchronous, and we've got students all around the world studying on the programme from a variety of public health or public health related backgrounds. The rationale for developing the pathway was based on observations and also feedback. So we noticed that students tended to struggle transitioning from structured taught modules to the more independent style of the dissertation. Students tended to do less well in the dissertation compared to their taught module averages, and there was a relatively high number of non-submission fails, and these, when we looked into them, were mostly down to running out of time due to delays in getting their proposal signed off or getting ethical approval. So we wanted to sort of understand that a little bit more and see how we could improve the research experience for the students and equip them better in preparation for the dissertation module. So what is the pathway? Oh, sorry, I keep telling you, I said I'd tell you when the next slide. So can we go on to the next slide, please? Sorry, I knew I'd get carried away with the discussion.
So are we showing the right slide now, or do we need to move on?
The next one, please, sorry.
That one, the pathway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the pathway it's completely optional. It's formative, so there's no summative assessments involved in the pathway. And it's divided into stages. And each stage runs parallel to one of the taught modules. Each stage also focuses on key areas of the research process. There are synchronous opportunities embedded within the pathway, so they get to present their research ideas and also their research proposal to their classmates and also to lecturers on the programme as well, so they get the opportunity to get feedback and advice at an early stage. The idea is to better prepare students for the research process, progressively develop their research skills, and prepare them for that change in learning and teaching style. So from that structured, you must hand in your assignments at this date, to the more independent style of the dissertation. And the end goal is for the students to have an almost ready proposal at the end of their taught modules. So when they start their dissertation module, they've got a proposal almost ready to go. Obviously not all students will be at that point because it's a formative optional pathway, but the overall goal is to have as many students as possible at that point. Next slide, please. So what are the outcomes so far? So the pathway has actually been recognised as an example of innovative and best practice by external reviewers, and has since been implemented by other online programmes at the university. The main outcomes that we've observed are that students were more prepared entering the dissertation stage. So they either at the least case, they had a research question, and at best case, they had a draft proposal ready for their dissertation module. This meant they could be matched to a dissertation supervisor very early, getting feedback at an earlier stage. We've found that proposals are being signed off earlier as a result, so therefore they can enter the ethical approval process earlier, giving them more time then to work on their actual research and writing up. Anecdotally, we have observed fewer non-submission fails, and the ones that we have seen have mostly been down to sort of unexpected circumstances in the students during the dissertation process, rather than running out of time due to proposal or ethical issues. So that's been really positive. Next slide, please. Based on student feedback, students have reported that they found the pathway a really valuable research tool. So it's really got them thinking about their research at an early stage. The students tended to report that they hadn't thought about the dissertation starting the programme. It was the last thing on their minds, but they're really glad that they've been prompted at such an early stage to begin thinking of their research ideas, and they've been then able to link their taught modules with what they want to do for their dissertation as well, and how they could implement what they're learning in their modules to their dissertation. The main barriers to the pathway that we've heard is time. And this is always going to be a difficult one to solve, because students report that they don't have time to work on the pathway because they're dedicating their time to the taught modules. And I think in part this is down to the need to manage student expectations. If we just move on to the final slide. So on campus, our students are expected to work on the proposal whilst they're completing their taught modules. So this is really just reflecting the structure of what our campus students would experience. I think management of student expectations and allowing them to understand why we're asking them to engage so early and the benefits of that, I think, is something that needs to be improved and worked on to try and improve that student satisfaction in the pathway process. So one of the ideas we have is to set up focus groups to get an understanding of what the students want to do, want to see, how they would want the dissertation pathway to be presented. And obviously we're going to keep updating and reviewing the pathway based on feedback from our external reviewers and the students as well. And I think that probably is about it. Try to squash a lot of information into a short amount of time there.